Phil Mickelson facing financial chaos after Saudi funds pull out. This isn't clickbait. It is a financial meltdown for one of golf's biggest names. The Saudi Public Investment Fund just pulled the plug on LIV Golf after burning through $6 billion, and one player stands to lose more than anyone else. And honestly, the pure arrogance of it makes me furious. Regular working people are struggling to afford a weekend round at their local muni, yet these country club elites are panicking because their 9-figure guaranteed contracts might disappear. It is a grotesque display of greed. A man who called the Saudis scary then took $200 million of their dollars, now facing the bill coming due. But look past the outrage. Mickelson isn't just another LIV player facing uncertainty. He is the only one with no escape hatch. His fellow LIV stars have paths back to the PGA Tour. Some already took them. Others have contracts that stretch for years. Mickelson, the bridge to the PGA Tour has been detonated, nuked, and lasered to death. That's what I call the no escape clause. Let me show you why he is golf's man without a country, and what happens when the Saudi money train finally stops. Personally, I think Mickelson made the biggest financial miscalculation in golf history. Do you agree, or do you think he'll find a way out? Drop it below. And if no one else is telling you the real story behind LIV's collapse, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe. To understand what happened, you need to go back to late April. On April 29th, reports hit that the Saudi Public Investment Fund had decided to stop funding LIV Golf. The next day, they confirmed it publicly. The statement was blunt. LIV Golf would only receive funding for the remainder of the 2026 season. No more after that. The Saudi money train had officially pulled the brakes. Why did they do this? The official reason was that LIV's massive losses no longer fit PIF's investment strategy. But the real story is messier. Iran's ongoing war disrupted Saudi oil exports, forcing the fund to redirect billions back into domestic projects. LIV Golf was bleeding money, hundreds of millions a year, and the Saudis decided they had better things to spend on. The war created economic pressure that made the Saudis rethink every single dollar they were spending outside their borders. How much money are we talking about? Since 2022, PIF dumped over $6 billion into LIV Golf. The signing bonuses alone topped $1.3 billion. Annual losses were estimated at $400 million. Monthly losses, around $75 million. That's $1 million disappearing every single day for years. Even for a fund with unlimited resources, the math stopped making sense. When the news broke, the dominoes fell fast. The LIV event scheduled for New Orleans in June was canceled immediately. LIV announced an independent board was being formed to find new investors, but no one with pockets as deep as the Saudis has stepped forward. The chairman, Yasir Al-Rumayyan, is expected to resign. The players had been warned behind closed doors before the public announcement, but that didn't stop the panic. Most people assumed this was just another business headline, but for the players who staked their entire careers on this league, this was something far more personal. And for one of them, the situation is unlike anything the sport has ever seen. The Saudi money train has stopped. But for some players, the real nightmare is just beginning. So who is the player at the center of all this? Phil Mickelson. 6 major championships, a Hall of Fame career. One of the most gifted left-handers the game has ever produced. But right now, none of that matters. What matters is the contract he signed in 2022, a deal worth approximately $200 million guaranteed. It was supposed to be his retirement plan, his golden parachute, his way of cashing out after decades of dominance. But here is the problem. That contract was signed with LIV Golf, and LIV Golf is now on life support. Mickelson's $200 million is tied to a league that is running out of money. The Saudis have stopped the funding. The investors aren't lining up. And if LIV collapses, that contract becomes worthless paper. $200 million. Gone. The very thing that was supposed to secure his future is now the thing that threatens to destroy it. Now, you might be thinking, he already got paid. The signing bonus was up front. He's fine. But here is where it gets complicated. Those contracts were structured as multi-year payments tied to the league's continued existence. If LIV folds, the future payments stop. Mickelson's net worth is estimated between $350 and $400 million. That sounds like a lot, but when your primary income source is about to disappear, that money doesn't last forever. And then there is the other problem, the one that makes Mickelson's situation completely different from every other LIV player. $200 million on paper, zero guarantees in reality, and no way back to the tour that made him famous. To understand why Mickelson cannot go back to the PGA Tour, you have to understand what the tour has done. In early 2026, the PGA Tour introduced the Returning Members Program. It was designed to give LIV players a path back, a way to apologize, pay a penalty, and resume their careers. Brooks Koepka used this program. He returned, he paid his price, he moved on, but here is the catch. The program has strict eligibility requirements. You have to have won a major championship in the last 3 years. Koepka had one. Mickelson, his last major win was the PGA Championship in 2021. That is 5 years ago. He does not qualify. The door that opened for Koepka is slammed shut for Mickelson. This single eligibility requirement is the difference between a future and a dead end. And even if they change the rules, there is another barrier. Mickelson is one of the 11 players who sued the PGA Tour. That lawsuit is still active. The tour has not forgotten. The sponsors have not forgotten. Mickelson's bridge to the PGA Tour is not just damaged, it is gone. Trey Wingo, the former ESPN host, said it best. That bridge has been burned, detonated, destroyed, nuked, lasered to death. There is no building that bridge back. That is not hyperbole. Mickelson called the Saudis scary and then took their money. He criticized the PGA Tour's greed and then joined a greedier league. He burned every bridge he had. And now, those bridges are gone. There is no going back. There is only the wreckage of his choices. So what does Mickelson do now? He cannot stay in LIV if it collapses. He cannot go back to the PGA Tour. He has no options. He is golf's man without a country. The door is locked. The key is gone. And Phil Mickelson is standing on the wrong side. But here is where the story gets more interesting. Mickelson is not the only player in trouble. He is just the one with the worst situation. The rest of the LIV roster has options. Some have contracts that stretch for years. Some have major wins that give them a path back. Some made decisions that now look brilliant. And some made decisions that now look catastrophic. Let us start with the player who is safest. Jon Rahm. Rahm signed with LIV for a reported $300 million. That is the biggest contract in LIV history. But here is the difference. Rahm's contract runs through 2027. That gives him at least 2 more years of guaranteed payments, even if LIV starts shrinking. Rahm also has another advantage. He is the reigning Masters champion. He has won 2 majors in the last 3 years. He qualifies for the Returning Members Program. If LIV falls apart, Rahm can go back to the PGA Tour without any problem. He might lose some money, but he will not lose his career. Rahm's attitude reflects that security. When the news broke, Rahm was asked about it. His response was almost casual. He said he did not worry because he had not heard anything official. That is the response of a man who knows he has options. Rahm can sleep easy. He knows that whatever happens to LIV, he will land on his feet. The same cannot be said for the man who wants $500 million next, Bryson DeChambeau. DeChambeau signed with LIV for around $100 million. That is less than Rahm and less than Mickelson. But DeChambeau has something the others don't, a recent major win. He won the US Open in 2024. That means he qualifies for the Returning Members Program. If LIV collapses, DeChambeau can go back to the PGA Tour. He will have to pay a penalty, just like Koepka did, but he can go back. Here is the problem. DeChambeau's contract expires at the end of 2026. That is just a few months away. He is already looking for a new deal, and he is reportedly asking for $500 million. $500 million. That is more than Rahm, more than Mickelson, more than anyone, and he is asking for it from a league that just lost its only source of funding. The timing is terrible. The demand is unrealistic. His public reaction to the Saudi pullout was telling. He said, "I wish them the best of luck. I just wish they would have stayed in a little longer because we're really close on the team side." That is a man who knows his payday is disappearing. DeChambeau has options. But they are not the options he wanted. He wanted $500 million. He might have to settle for a fraction of that. Dustin Johnson. Johnson was one of the first big names to join LIV. His initial contract was worth over $120 million. Then he signed an extension that runs through 2029. That is the longest contract on the LIV roster. On paper, Johnson is secure, but there is a catch. Johnson has not won a major since 2020. That is 6 years ago. He does not qualify for the returning members program. If LIV collapses, Johnson has no automatic path back. His team, the Four Aces, is currently 7th in the LIV standings. Johnson's performance has declined. He is not the dominant player he once was. Johnson is in a dangerous middle ground. He has a long contract on a league that might not survive, and he has no recent major wins to give him a safety net. Johnson's future is uncertain. Brooks Koepka already made his choice and paid a heavy price for it. Brooks Koepka. Koepka is the cautionary tale. He is the one who already went back. Koepka returned to the PGA Tour through the returning members program, and it cost him. He had to donate $5 million to charity. He forfeited his equity in the tour. He is banned from the FedEx Cup playoffs for 5 years. He gave up millions in future earnings just to come back. But he is back. He is playing. He has a career again. Koepka proved that the returning members program works. He proved that LIV players can come home. He also proved that it is expensive and humbling, but it is possible. Koepka is proof that the door is open for some players. The key is having a recent major win. Without that, the door stays locked. Koepka is back on tour. Cameron Smith had the same chance, and he said no. Cameron Smith. Smith signed with LIV and had a choice. Before February 2026, the PGA Tour offered LIV players a chance to come back. Smith declined. He said no. He decided to stay with LIV, and now he is stuck. He has no recent major win. He has no guaranteed path back. He has $51 million in LIV earnings, but those earnings are tied to a league that might not exist next year. Smith's decision looked smart in January. The money was flowing. Everything seemed secure. By May, that decision looks catastrophic. Smith is one of the players with the fewest options. He cannot go back to the PGA Tour easily. He cannot stay with LIV if it collapses. He is trapped in the middle. And the worst part? He had a chance to avoid this. He said no, and now he is paying the price. Smith might be second-guessing his choice. But Mickelson never had a choice to make. And that is what makes his story the most dangerous of all. So where does this leave us? LIV Golf is on life support. The Saudis have pulled the money. The investors are not coming. The New Orleans event is canceled. The board is scrambling. The players are panicking. And one man, Phil Mickelson, is facing total financial chaos. His contract is worth $200 million. On paper. In reality, it might be worth nothing. He has no path back to the PGA Tour. He has no recent major win to save him. He has burned every bridge he had. No safety net. No backup plan. No escape route. He is golf's man without a country, and the country he was counting on is falling apart. The best-case scenario is that LIV finds a new investor, someone with deep pockets willing to keep the league alive. His contract gets honored. He plays a reduced schedule for a few more years. He retires with dignity. But that scenario is becoming less likely every day. No one has stepped forward. The money is gone, and it is not coming back. The worst-case scenario is that LIV collapses completely. His contract becomes worthless. His income disappears. He has no tour to play on. His career effectively ends at 56 years old. He is remembered not as a legend who won 6 majors, but as a cautionary tale, a man who had everything and threw it away for money from people he called scary. The man who said the Saudis were scary now needs them more than anyone. That is not just financial chaos. That is a career funeral. And that is the real story. This is not about a golf league losing money. This is about a man who made a decision and is now facing the consequences. Phil Mickelson took the Saudi money. He took the guaranteed contract. He took the easy path. And now, that path has crumbled beneath his feet. He is not a victim. He made his choices. He called the Saudis scary and then took their money. He criticized the PGA Tour's greed and then joined a greedier league. He burned every bridge he had, and now he is standing on an island with no way back. That is not bad luck. That is consequence. You know about the Saudi pullout. You know about the $6 billion. You know about the contracts. You know about the returning members program. You know about the players who have options and the one player who does not. You know why Mickelson is different. You know why he cannot go back. You know why this is financial chaos. Phil Mickelson made a deal with the devil, and now the devil has left the building. What happens next? That is up to the courts, up to the investors, up to the tour. But one thing is certain. The man who had everything is now fighting for his financial life, and the clock is ticking.